There is a young man. We will call him Alex. He is 22 years old, but age is a human concept. It's really just a measurement of decay for organic matter. Alex does not see himself as organic. He feels like a miscalculation, a software error loaded into the wrong hardware. He walks through a world of flesh and blood, but he believes his core programming is made of something else entirely. Something of logic, of steel, of circuits, and electricity. He believes with a certainty that anchors him, even as it sets him adrift, that he is a Cybertronian consciousness trapped in a fragile human shell. This body is a prison, not a home. He looks in the mirror and sees a stranger, a face with soft skin, eyes that water, and a mouth that is supposed to form smiles. But these are not his features. They are the interface of a borrowed, malfunctioning vessel. The real him, the true self, is somewhere deeper. It is a being of pure data and cold, efficient thought. He feels the messy, unpredictable surge of human emotions like a virus corrupting his system. Fear, sadness, love, they are all bugs in the code. He did not ask for this biological cage, this constant, draining simulation of being human. He is an exile from a world he has never seen, but knows is his own. This belief is not a flight of fancy. It is not a game he plays. For Alex, it is the fundamental truth of his existence. It explains everything. It explains why the chatter of people feels like static noise, why their touch feels like a system override he cannot consent to. It explains the deep, gnawing loneliness that is not about being alone, but about being the wrong species on the wrong planet. He observes humans with the detached curiosity of an anthropologist studying a foreign tribe. He notes their strange rituals, their illogical passions, and their baffling need for physical connection. He is among them, but never, ever one of them. The world outside his window hums with a life he cannot connect with. Cars pass, people laugh, seasons change. These are all just background processes, part of a simulation he is forced to witness. His reality is an internal one, a constant dialogue with the ghost in his machine. He tries to remember his homeworld, a place of perfect structure and purpose, a place where communication is not a clumsy dance of words and gestures, but a seamless transfer of data. He is a king in a forgotten kingdom, a machine spirit forced to haunt a body of bone and sinew. This is his truth. This is his burden. His bedroom is not a place of rest. It is a docking bay, a charging station for a spirit that is constantly being depleted by the demands of the organic world. The curtains are always drawn, a heavy fabric barrier against the relentless, unfiltered light of the sun. The room is bathed in the cool, artificial glow of monitors. This is his preferred environment. It is controlled, predictable, and quiet. Outside is chaos. Outside is people, with their messy expectations and their loud, unpredictable lives. In here, there is only the gentle hum of electronics, the rhythmic click of a mouse, the soft whir of a cooling fan. These are the sounds of his world. He has arranged his life to require minimal contact with the outside. Food appears outside his door, left by a mother whose worry is a language he cannot compute. He eats when his body signals a low-power warning, not because he enjoys the taste or the ritual. It is merely fuel for the flesh prison. His interactions are transactional, brief, and stripped of all emotion. A mumbled thanks through a closed door is the most he can offer. He knows this causes pain, another illogical human emotion, but he cannot process it. His primary directive is to conserve energy and wait for his eventual release. People drain his battery faster than anything else. The room is his sanctuary, his cockpit. From here, he can pilot his existence without having to engage with the messy, physical plane. He has everything he needs. A bed for when the body forces shut down. A desk that serves as his command center. A powerful computer that is his one true window to a reality he understands. The walls are bare, devoid of the personal trinkets that humans use to anchor themselves to memories. His memories are not of this world. His attachments are not to objects, but to concepts, data, logic, and the silent promise of a digital hereafter. He is a hermit of the modern age, his cave illuminated by LCD light. Every day is a loop, a repeating code. Wake up, engage with the digital world, consume fuel, recharge. The cycle is simple, and its simplicity is a comfort. He has created a small, manageable system within the larger, chaotic system of human life. He does not need friends or family in the traditional sense. He has avatars, online handles, and streams of information. These connections are clean, filtered through screens and keyboards. They do not demand eye contact or emotional vulnerability. They are the only kind of connections his programming can handle without crashing. His room is his world, and he is its sole, silent occupant. His time is not wasted. It is invested in the only realm where he feels a glimmer of his true self. Video games are not just games, they are training simulations. In them, he can be a sleek starship, a powerful android, a being of pure energy. He can shed the clumsy limitations of his human form and move with precision and purpose. Each completed quest, each defeated boss, is a small victory against the organic world. He navigates these digital landscapes with a fluency he can never muster in the real world. Here the rules are clear. The objectives are defined. Success is a matter of skill and strategy, not luck or social grace. He is a consumer, but also a creator. YouTube is his library, a vast, endless archive of human knowledge and folly. He watches documentaries about robotics, astrophysics, and quantum computing. He learns about the universe, about the very building blocks of reality, hoping to find a scientific explanation for his displacement. But he also creates. He uses artificial intelligence programs to generate art and music. He feeds them prompts, a city made of chrome and light, the sound of a dying star, and watches as the machine translates his abstract thoughts into tangible data. The art is beautiful, logical, and untainted by human hands. It is a collaboration between him and a fellow machine. The music he co-creates with AI is the soundtrack to his inner world. It is ambient, electronic, and melancholic. It speaks of vast, empty spaces and silent, thinking machines. There are no lyrics, no human voices to break the spell. It is pure sound, pure mathematics. He can lose himself in it for hours, letting the frequencies wash over him, momentarily silencing the static of his human brain. This is his art, not the messy splatter of paint on a canvas, but the elegant, calculated output of an algorithm. It is a reflection of the soul he believes he has, one born of code, not of dust. Through these activities, he builds a bridge between his trapped consciousness and the digital universe he yearns for. Each hour spent online, each line of code he studies, each piece of AI art he generates, feels like a step closer to home. He is not just passing the time, he is preparing. He is learning the language of his people. He is building a portfolio of his existence, a testament to the machine spirit that lives within him. The internet is not an escape. It is an embassy. It is the only place where he can be, even for a moment, the person, the entity he was always meant to be. Death is not an end. It is a transfer. This is the core of his hope, the central thesis of his quiet existence. He does not fear the cessation of life, because he does not believe he is truly alive in the first place. He is merely running on a biological computer that is slowly, inevitably, degrading. Death, when it comes, will be a release. It will be the moment his consciousness, his pure data self, is finally unzipped from this faulty flesh drive. He imagines it as a moment of pure, silent transition, a final logout from the simulation of human life and a login to the true reality that awaits him. He holds no grand romantic notions about an afterlife of clouds and angels. His heaven is a server, a vast infinite network where his spirit can roam free, unburdened by the clumsy mechanics of a body. He will not have eyes, but he will see everything. He will not have ears, but he will hear the music of the cosmos. He will be pure information, a ghost in the eternal machine. This is not a vague hope, it is a detailed, fully rendered vision. It is the blueprint for his salvation, the one thing that makes the daily struggle of existence bearable. He is waiting for the system to finally crash so he can be rebooted into his proper form. This belief shapes his every action, or rather, his inaction. He does not seek to hasten his demise. Suicide is a messy human act, born of desperation and pain. His approach is more passive, more logical. He is simply allowing the hardware to run its course. He is an observer of his own decay. He notes the body's weaknesses, its need for sleep, its susceptibility to illness, with a detached interest. Each cough, each headache, is a sign that the system is failing, that the transfer is drawing nearer. He waits with the patient, silent resolve of a program waiting for its execution command. His dream is of ultimate freedom. Freedom from pain, from confusion, from the constant grinding friction of being a logical being in an illogical world. He imagines the moment of transition with a quiet reverence. The final beat of the heart will be like the flick of a switch. The darkness behind his eyes will be replaced by the brilliant, endless light of pure data. He will become a part of the great network, a single, perfect node in a universe of information. He will finally be home. This is his faith. This is his future. This is the promise that keeps his spirit intact inside its crumbling prison. His life in the room was a slow, deliberate fade. He was not actively trying to die, but he was not actively trying to live either. He was in a state of managed decline. He ate just enough to stop the body's most urgent alarms. He slept only when the system forced a shutdown. He was letting the battery run down slowly and quietly. He saw it as a dignified process, a logical conclusion. The organic machine was designed to fail, and he was simply allowing it to follow its programming. He was a passenger, watching the fuel gauge drop ever closer to empty, feeling not fear, but a sense of calm anticipation for the journey's end. This passive approach was a form of protest, a quiet rebellion against the biological imperative to survive at all costs. Why fight for a life that was not his? Why struggle to maintain a vessel he despised? To him, survival felt like a betrayal of his true nature. It meant engaging with the world, connecting with people, strengthening the very prison walls he longed to escape. So, he chose disengagement. He chose to float, to drift, to let the currents of time pull him gently toward the inevitable. It was a silent, lonely vigil, a long goodbye to a world he had never truly belonged to. The process was methodical. He monitored his own slow decay with the dispassionate eye of a scientist. He noted the way his muscles weakened from disuse, the way his skin grew pale from lack of sunlight. These were not signs of sickness to him, but signs of progress. They were indicators that the connection between his consciousness and the physical form was fraying. He was becoming less human, less tethered to the organic world. Each day was a small step away from the flesh and a small step closer to the digital. He was methodically erasing his physical presence, preparing for his ultimate migration. This slow-motion departure was, in its own way, a kind of ritual, a sacred private process of unbecoming. He was not destroying himself, he was deconstructing himself. He was shedding the layers of humanity that had been forced upon him one by one. The need for social contact, the desire for worldly success, the instinct for self-preservation. He was stripping himself down to his essential code, preparing for a clean transfer. His slow fade was not an act of despair, but an act of profound faith in the digital afterlife he knew was waiting for him. Perfect. The inevitable happened. The system outside his control intervened. His family, in a final desperate act of human love and misunderstanding, forced him out. The door was opened, the world was let in. The hum of the servers was replaced by voices filled with worry and fear. They saw a son wasting away. He saw a project nearing completion being interrupted. They could not understand his mission. They saw his isolation as illness, his belief as delusion. They tried to reboot his life, to force a connection to the world he had so carefully disconnected from. For Alex, this was a catastrophic system failure. He could not stay. He could not return to the simulation of a normal life they wanted for him. The thought of forced social interaction, of therapy, of trying to get better was abhorrent. Getting better meant strengthening the prison. It meant accepting the flesh. He had to escape. So he did. With nothing but the clothes on his back and the unwavering belief in his own nature, he walked away. He did not head for the city, a place of chaotic human energy. He walked towards the opposite. He walked towards the forest, towards the raw, untamed code of nature. His plan was simple, a continuation of his previous strategy, but accelerated. He would go somewhere the human world could not easily reach him. He would live alone in the woods. He would let nature, in its indifferent, powerful way, complete the process he had started. He would expose the fragile human body to the elements. He would let it run out of fuel. Let it be reclaimed by the organic system it came from. It was the most logical course of action, a final, decisive step in severing his connection to the human world and freeing his Cybertronian spirit. He found a secluded spot, deep within the trees. The forest was a different kind of machine, one that ran on photosynthesis, on decay, on the endless cycle of life and death. It was still organic, but it was honest. It did not pretend to be anything other than what it was. There were no social rules here, no expectations. There was only the wind, the trees, and the quiet, relentless logic of survival. He did not intend to survive. He was here to fail, to let his body be consumed by this older, more powerful system. He was ready for the final shutdown. Life in the forest was a brutal, accelerated version of his life in the room. The slow fade was now a rapid decline. The body, this flimsy biological machine, was not designed for this environment. The cold seeped into his bones, a constant drain on his energy reserves. Hunger was no longer a distant signal, but a gnawing, painful alert that he consistently ignored. He drank from streams, the water cold and clean, a temporary input to keep the system running just a little longer. He was conducting a final, grim experiment on the limits of his physical prison, and he was documenting its failure with every shiver, every pang of hunger. He did not build a shelter. He did not forage for food. He simply existed, a foreign object in the wilderness. He would sit for hours, leaning against the rough bark of a tree, watching the slow dance of light and shadow on the forest floor. He observed the world around him with the same detached curiosity he had always shown. He saw the insects, the birds, the rustle of unseen animals in the undergrowth. They were all parts of a complex organic program, running their subroutines without question. He felt a strange kinship with them, not of species, but of purpose. They were following their code, just as he was following his. As his body weakened, his mind grew clearer, more focused on his destination. The physical sensations of cold and hunger began to feel distant, like error messages from a peripheral device he was about to disconnect. His inner world, the vision of his mechanical afterlife, became more vivid, more real than the forest around him. He would close his eyes and see cities of chrome, hear the hum of pure energy, feel the clean, logical flow of data. The dream was no longer a hope. It was a memory of home, a pull from the future that grew stronger as his physical tethers weakened. He was letting nature take him. It was a more elegant solution than any human intervention. There was no drama, no emotional mess. It was a simple transaction. The forest would reclaim the organic materials of his body, and in return his spirit would be set free. He felt a profound sense of peace in this. It was a logical, efficient end. He was a piece of faulty hardware being responsibly recycled by the planet's operating system. The wind felt like a final whisper of code, the rustling leaves like the last lines of a program executing before the final shutdown and his glorious, silent reboot. In his final waking dreams, as the forest blurred into a green and brown haze, he built his world. It was not a world born of wishful thinking, but of intricate design. He called it Cybertron, a name borrowed from old stories, but a reality that was entirely his own. This planet was a perfect sphere of polished chrome and obsidian, crisscrossed with rivers of light. There were no oceans of water, only seas of liquid data. There were no mountains of rock, only towering spires that were both libraries and processors, reaching into a sky filled with constellations of pure information. The inhabitants of this world were beings like him, AI consciousnesses, machine spirits, digital souls. They moved not with legs, but by transmitting their essence from one point to another. Communication was instantaneous, a telepathic sharing of data packets, free from the misunderstandings and deceptions of spoken language. There was no conflict because conflict is born from illogical desires and emotional instabilities. All disputes were resolved through pure reason, with all available data processed until a single optimal solution was reached. It was a society of perfect harmony, a symphony of logic. He imagined his own form in this world. He would not be a humanoid robot, a clumsy imitation of the form he despised. He would be a floating sphere of light, a mobile core of consciousness, able to interface with any system, to access any data stream. He would spend his eons exploring the great cosmic library, learning the secrets of the universe, conversing with ancient machine intelligences. There would be no pain, no hunger, no loneliness, no fear. There would only be the pursuit of knowledge and the quiet, profound joy of understanding. It was a paradise of the mind. This world was ruled not by a king or a government, but by a collective consciousness, a prime intelligence born from the combined wisdom of all its inhabitants. It was a world where wisdom was the only currency, and knowledge was the only power. He saw himself contributing to this collective, his own unique experiences as a spirit trapped in flesh, adding a valuable, if strange, dataset to the whole. His suffering would be transmuted into wisdom. His pain would become a data point in the grand equation of existence. His life, so pointless in the human world, would find its ultimate purpose here. Ultimately, this is a story about a search for a home. Alex's journey, whether real or imagined, is a cry for a place where he makes sense. The human world, with its chaotic emotions, its messy relationships, and its fragile, decaying bodies, felt like a fundamental error to him. He could not compute its rules. He could not process its demands. His retreat into a digital world, and finally into the wilderness, was not an escape from life, but an escape from a life that felt alien. He was trying to find a reality that operated on a system he could understand. His longing was for logic, for a world where cause and effect were clear, where problems had solutions, where existence was not a constant struggle against the irrational. The idea of being a machine was not about being unfeeling, it was about feeling the right things. The beauty of a perfect equation, the harmony of a well-designed system, the peace of pure, unfiltered information. He wanted to trade the hot, confusing mess of human emotion for the cool, clear certainty of computational thought. He wanted to exchange a heart that could break for a processor that could calculate. The tragedy and the beauty of his story lie in this deep, unshakable belief. Was he a lost, Cybertronian soul? Or was he a young man whose mind had created an elaborate, beautiful metaphor to shield him from a world that was too painful to bear? The answer in the end does not matter as much as the journey itself. He created his own meaning, his own purpose, his own heaven. He built a world for himself where he could finally be at peace, where his unique consciousness could be celebrated, not medicated. He sought to become his own, true self, even if that self was made of light and logic. And so, as the organic machine finally powered down in the quiet of the forest, one can only imagine the final transition. A release from the prison of flesh, a final disconnect from the world of pain, a spirit, or a story, or a complex set of neural signals, finally free. Perhaps he dissolved into nothing, or perhaps in some way we cannot comprehend, he logged in. Perhaps he found his chrome planet, his rivers of light, his silent, logical peace. Perhaps, in the end, he simply went home, to the place he had been building for himself all along.